You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. It would seem that MVP has made even more additions to their existing stable, 5 new ones. Fresh from promoting the first all-women's boxing card at MSG, MVP has announced the signing of 5 more boxers to its expansive and expanding roster of female fighters. Britain's former bantamweight champion, Shannon Courtenay, Australia's unified middleweight champion, Desley Robinson, junior bantamweight titleist, Jasmine Artiga, 19-time U.S. national amateur champion, Sarai Brown-L, and Mexico's former unified junior flyweight title holder, Jessica Neri Plata, are the latest to join a grouping that includes such names as Amanda Serrano, Alicia Baumgartner, Savannah Marshall, Ellie Scottney, Shernika Johnson, and more. At the age of just 19, Brown-L has already been boxing for 9 years, having first gloved up at age 10 and subsequently won both the Junior Olympics and the National Golden Globes. Dubbed the future of women's boxing by USA Boxing, she competes at junior flyweight and flyweight. Desley Robinson, 10 wins with 3 losses and 3 knockouts, is coming off an April defeat of Chloe Chaos to add the vacant WBO strap to the IBF title she won by outpointing Kay Scott. In December, Robinson, who defeated Scott despite having a fractured foot, is also a single mother to 3 children. Artiga, 13-0 with 1 draw and 6 knockouts, transitioned to boxing from the Legends Football League at age 21, and she most recently won the WBA title at 115 by outpointing Mexico's Regina Chavez back in March. She will compete on MVP Fight Night in Orlando, Florida on August 23rd. Neri Plata, 30 wins with 2 losses and 3 knockouts, has been competing in the paid ranks since 2011. She claimed the WBA crown at 108 pounds with her victory over Jessica Bopp in March of 2022, then added the WBC belt via unanimous decision over Kim Clavel in January of 2023. Despite 19 months of inactivity, she is still ranked first by the WBA and second by ESPN at 108 pounds. Courtenay, 9-3 with 3 knockouts, won the WBA bantamweight title back in April of 2021 following a hard-fought win over fellow MVP signee Ebony Bridges, but lost the title on the scales in her first defense, a majority decision loss to Jamie Mitchell back in 2021. She added 1 more win, then spent nearly 2 years out of the ring, returning to action in October of last year. Most recently, Courtenay secured a win over Beck Connolly back in March. MVP co-founders Jake Paul and Nikisa Badarian said the 5 signees represent 5 powerful stories, 4 countries with proud boxing legacy, and 1 shared mission: to compete and win at the highest level. From one of the most decorated amateurs in U.S. history to unified world champions, they embody the same brand of world-class skill, relentless drive, and undeniable presence we are cultivating at MVP. We look forward to each of their MVP debuts in the coming months. Now, we will go over the virtues and trajectories of each individual signee, and I don't think it's an argument anymore that MVP single-handedly has the strongest stable of female fighters in boxing right now. Stronger even than Matchroom's stable that's thinning out and really got the ball rolling. MVP is expanding upon the big women's boxing boom we saw in 2016. Now they got the strongest stable. What are they going to do with it? That's the question, because there's a lot of girls they're picking up. They have to accommodate
a lot of fighters.
Because MVP seems to do shows on both the Netflix platform and the DAZN platform, I really don't think that dates are going to be an issue.
Yeah, it's not going to be a problem.
Signing this many female fighters at this rate, you do start to wonder if MVP can do an adequate job of promoting every single one of them.
I do look forward to seeing how this shakes out.
How do they accommodate this many fighters? I like some signings a bit more than others, but ultimately, MVP is staying the course and fast becoming the authority in women's boxing.
Men's junior middleweight news. Xander Zayas is still keen on a Sebastian Fundora showdown at a time where many spectators don't really like his chances.
He still wants that fight.
Winning one belt isn't enough for Xander Zayas. The unbeaten Puerto Rican Zayas was overcome with joy, though in response to a mission not yet fully completed, as he outpointed Jorge Garcia to claim the WBO junior middleweight title. Zayas was dominant in Saturday's ESPN headliner from the theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Sebastian Fundora was the previous owner of that belt at stake Saturday, for whom the 22-year-old Zayas, 22-0 with 13 KOs, was the WBO's mandatory challenger. Fundora vacated the title to instead proceed with a rematch against Tim Tszyu, whom he stopped after 7 rounds.
Sebastian Fundora just fought last week, Zayas noted, after his career best win. I heard he's looking for an opponent for his next fight. I'm waiting, and I'm ready to go in December. Fundora still holds the WBC's junior middleweight title, which he claimed in a 12-round split decision win over a then-unbeaten Tim Tszyu last year. He also lifted Tszyu's WBO title that evening, but he made just one successful defense before he relinquished that belt. No longer just an empty-handed challenger, the South Florida-based Boricua hopes to present Fundora with the chance to reclaim his old belt. Between that and their timelines being perfectly aligned after big wins just 7 days apart, the matchup almost makes too much sense. That fight will become much bigger, Zayas previously told Boxing Scene. Fighting for a world title and me only being a challenger, maybe that same matchup isn't as big as 2 world champions fighting each other. So hopefully, him beating Tim Tszyu and me beating Garcia this weekend will mean a bigger fight in December, or maybe early next year. I definitely believe it will be an even bigger fight if we get to that point.
It's about the best fight to make at junior middleweight right now, or at least one of the best fights to make. Does it happen?
Top Rank has not yet announced who their broadcast partner or partners are going to be moving forward. Zayas tabbed this fight to happen at some point in December. I feel that by December, we'll have those answers.
Does it happen?
Not if it means outsourcing Xander Zayas to a PBC show. Not that I think the PBC has the money to finance that fight anyway, because I don't. The way I see it happening is if Sebastian crosses over to Top Rank and they promote it, or Turkey El Al Sheikh pays to make the fight happen, then I think it can.
Then I think it would.
Still in the air as to whether or not it will happen that way when the time comes. Xander Zayas versus Sebastian Fundora. Who wins?
Well, before Saturday, I was a lot more confident that Xander could outpoint Sebastian Fundora. Xander's not a knockout merchant. He hasn't proven to be a very big puncher, so I don't think he stops Sebastian.
But I do get the sense that Sebastian could stop him. Of the two, I think Sebastian is the bigger puncher, and we know he's the more seasoned fighter. He's been in there with Erickson Lubin and Brian Mendoza and Tim Tszyu 2 times.
Power and experience have to go to Sebastian.
So how can Xander Zayas aspire to beat him? Well, he showed some good defensive highlights this past Saturday, bobbing and weaving under the sweeping hooks of Jorge Garcia. That's what he would have to do with Sebastian.
Slip the straight punches, bob and weave under the hooks to get inside on Sebastian.
Changing levels while he inches closer mid-range to inside to let go of punches.
It's what he has to do. Whether or not that's what he will do is a separate question, because I noticed
he spent a good amount of time keeping distance from Jorge Garcia this weekend, and on the inside, he did a lot of holding
to smother Jorge Garcia's work. You can't do that with Sebastian Fundora. The goal has to be to get inside on him, to let go of punches, not to clinch, not to hold.
That's where Sebastian is vulnerable. That's where he got knocked out by Brian Mendoza, and that's where Xander Zayas has to get to.
The other caveat.
Sebastian has given his base style a complete overhaul. Where before he would regularly give up his height to bang on the inside, now he's using his height, using his length, using his jab.
So he's been fighting for the last 3 fights. The first Tim Tszyu fight, the Cordale Booker fight in between, and the second Tim Tszyu fight.
So he's been fighting. He's trying to become more of a long-range fighter, which could make him more difficult to get to for Xander Zayas. That's why slipping the straight punches and bobbing and weaving under the hooks is pivotal to get inside on Sebastian. Xander already has some of the right ingredients: the slipping, the bobbing, the weaving, the level changes, the agility.
Doesn't have power, though. That edge has to go to Sebastian. Durability as well. I think Sebastian is more battle-tested than Xander Zayas, and if push comes to shove, I think he's more durable than Xander Zayas.
From where I'm sitting now, it looks like an uphill battle for Xander to pry the green and gold title away from Sebastian, who's actually showing improvement.
It's not gonna be easy.
So where before I was quite confident that Xander could out-hustle Sebastian Fundora, now I'm not so sure.
You don't think you're being wishy-washy?
I'm allowed to change my mind as new information becomes available and new performances are put out there. I'm allowed to change my mind. It's a free country. And I feel that this is a closer fight now than it was before.
In men's light heavyweight news, Joshua Buatsi, on the heels of his first professional loss to Callum Smith, is on the verge of a promotional switch.
Current light heavyweight contender Joshua Buatsi is reportedly heading to pastures anew as his BOXXER connection draws to a close. The subject of BOXXER's current stable has been hotly debated as of late, given their separation from Sky. Buatsi will be one of the first fighters to land elsewhere, according to reports from Yahoo Sports, linking the fighter to Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions. BOXXER have since confirmed to Boxing News that Buatsi would be moving on.
So once this deal is finalized, he will have fought under all 3 major promotional banners in the United Kingdom. For Matchroom, for BOXXER, then Queensberry.
BOXXER stated of their separation from Joshua Buatsi. To clarify, Joshua Buatsi's promotional contract with BOXXER expired at the end of February. His final fight under the BOXXER banner was his bout against Callum Smith. Joshua Buatsi is now a free agent. BOXXER wish him well in his future endeavors. The London fighter, who was previously contracted to Matchroom before switching sides with some degree of contention, lost his unbeaten slate in February when outpointed by Callum Smith over 12 exciting rounds, slipping to 19-1 with 13 knockouts. Buatsi's WBO interim title also transferred to Smith, who is now expecting to defend it against David Morrell. Suffice it to say, Buatsi 32 will be seeking a reboot with Frank Warren's outfit, who are tipped to provide a home for him on DAZN after turning pro in 2017 off the back of a run at the Olympics. Buatsi has taken a meandering route towards the top.
Meandering is one way to put it, haphazard is another.
Victories over the likes of Craig Richards, Dan Aziz, and Willie Hutchinson have separated him from the domestic scene. While the Smith clash would have taken Joshua to another level, it was not to be, as he dropped a unanimous decision in Riyadh. As for his former promoters, BOXXER, they're still looking for a home to showcase their fighters. What fighters they have left. With BBC iPlayer being mentioned, promoter Ben Shalom handled the likes of Ben Whitaker, Fraser Clark, Lauren Price, Callum Simpson, and Adam Azim to varying levels of success during his stint with Sky.
There are 2 stories here. That Joshua Buatsi is going to Queensberry is the obvious story, but underneath it is the current state of affairs at BOXXER. This is looking more and more like the doomsday scenario I described in a previous video, to where if they can't lock in a deal with a new broadcast partner fast enough, they're going to start to lose fighters.
What do you mean loose fighters? They said that his deal ended in February.
Even if it did, they couldn't offer Joshua Buatsi an extension. An extension to do what and fight where when they're between broadcasters right now.
So I remember in March of 2023 when Joshua Buatsi said, I want people to say we know what channel to turn to. I'm not going to tell you to download an app, to type in your email. My last fight, I asked myself, how many people watched it? I don't think a lot of people saw it. He said this of the DAZN platform 2 years ago in 2023, just to end up back there under a different banner.
Comments that age like an avocado.
Seemingly following in Lawrence Okoli's footsteps because he's another matchroom fighter that went to BOXXER and then went to Queensberry, Joshua Buatsi seems to be doing the exact same thing.
For the exact same reason. The whole reason that BOXXER was able to funnel so many of Matchroom's fighters to their side of things is because they offered them more money.
More than Matchroom was paying out at the time with Sky Sports as backing, but without Sky Sports in the picture,
they're gone.
So is the money. So you wonder, will they be able to hang on to Lauren Price? Or will she go to Queensberry? Will she go to Matchroom? Will she go to MVP? And what about Carolyn Dubois? What about Karis Artingstall? What about Adam Azim?
Chris Billum-Smith.
How is BOXXER supposed to stay afloat and hang on to these fighters without a broadcast deal?
It's not looking good.
Reflecting on why it was Joshua Buatsi left Matchroom and DAZN for BOXXER on Sky, he said he wasn't getting enough visibility on the DAZN platform. But how much visibility did he get on BOXXER and Sky? A Dan Aziz fight?
That's it? That was the most they could do for you? Dan Aziz?
Unless I'm mistaken, the Willie Hutchinson fight was one of Turkey's shows, and the Callum Smith fight after that, that was another one of Turkey's shows. Those were not shows that were promoted by BOXXER.
What are you getting at?
That if the whole reason you left Matchroom for BOXXER was for more visibility, it looks like you never actually got it. And the biggest fights you had after that, well, they didn't come from BOXXER. They came from Turkey. They came from Riyadh Season.
Now, I don't know that going to Queensberry is going to be any better or any different for Joshua Buatsi, because even if he's changing his decorum and who's promoting him, the landscape didn't change. The light heavyweight division is what the light heavyweight division is.
The top dogs from before are still the top dogs now. That's Dimitri and Artur.
And I don't think Joshua Buatsi can beat any of them. You just lost to Callum Smith.
I would recommend that he fight Anthony Yard because I still think that's a big fight, but Anthony's about to fight David Benavidez, so he's busy right now. What can Queensberry do for Joshua Buatsi? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Because even if the decorum changes, the landscape at light heavyweight didn't. It's still the same. I didn't trust that Joshua Buatsi would be able to get the job done against Callum Smith, and he didn't.
He lost.
Having seen so many of his fights in the past, I felt that while he may be a halfway decent physical specimen, good jab, good backhand, decent speed, not much of a work rate.
That's one.
Not really battle tested. Who's the best guy that Joshua Buatsi beat?
That's two.
What's three? I don't think he's got gumption. I don't think Joshua Buatsi's got dog in him. He's a good boxer. He can box.
But he ain't got no dog. And I don't trust his chin. That's four.
So going to Queensberry may seem the natural alternative, but I don't know that things are going to be any different at Queensberry than they were at BOXXER or than they were at Matchroom before that. We'll see what develops.